we do the whole clap thing? If you can hear my voice, clap once. If you can hear my voice, clap twice. All right, we're good. That worked. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. The whole clap thing. If you can hear my voice, clap once. As you all have noticed, it is much brighter in here. Twice. Right? I didn't know that we had windows actually in this room. That worked. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Okay. If you can hear my voice, clap once. As you all have noticed, it is much brighter in here.
Music or something?
I didn't know that we had windows actually in this room. We'll go ahead and call the meeting. Okay, is this better? If you can hear okay, great. So if you've noticed that this room is a lot brighter, I said that I didn't know that there were windows actually in this room. So we've done some work in here. It's amazing how paint goes a long way. So I said that I didn't know that there were windows actually in this room. So we've done some work in here. It's amazing how paint goes a long way. So I said that I didn't know that there were windows actually in this room. So we've done some work in here. It's amazing how paint goes a long way. So okay, is this better? I said that I didn't know that there were windows actually in this room. So we've done some work in here. It's amazing how paint goes a long way. So okay, is this better? I said that I didn't know that there were windows actually in this room. So we've done some work in here. It's amazing how paint goes a long way. Sorry, that's just okay, is this better? I said that I didn't know that there were windows actually in this room. So we've done some work. How does this? Is this better? It's amazing how paint better? Sorry, that's just okay, is this better? I said that I didn't know that there were windows actually. Okay. Is this better? So no? It sounds better? Okay. So it's better, Nancy? Okay, you good? All right. So the board would like to extend a special thank you to the building services, tech services, and communications teams for the work they undertook in our auditorium while we took our board meetings out into our schools. It is amazing that a fresh coat of paint can do to a space. We would also like to extend a special thanks to our in-house tradesmen who provided us with the new displays painted on the walls and built this beautiful new table for the board. Let's give them a round of applause. They did a lot of really good work. The resuscitation of vision statement: every school will be a thriving school that prepares every student to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. We will now do our oath of office for our newly appointed board member, Savion Castro.
You need to look out. You need to look towards there, and I will do it this way. Please raise your right hand. I, Savion Castro, have been appointed to the office of school board member. Having been appointed to the office of school board member for the Madison Metropolitan School District, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
How exciting. Welcome aboard, Savion. We're really looking forward to working with you this coming year, so thank you. Next on the agenda is the recognition resolution. The Board of Education will recognize Anusha Sahai as one of 12 Wisconsin students and the only student in the Madison area to be chosen as one of the 621 scholars of the 55th class of 2019 United States Presidential Scholar semifinalist. Is she here, Anusha? You want to come up? Anusha Sahi is graduating senior at Madison High School. A senior at Madison High School, was named a U.S. Presidential Scholar semifinalist, one of the highest academic honors graduating high school seniors can receive in the United States Department of Education. The board would like to recognize Anusha for her achievements by reading a resolution. Whereas Madison Memorial High School graduating senior Anusha Sahi was one of the 12 Wisconsin students and the only student in the Madison area to be chosen as one of the 621 scholars of the 55th class of 2019 United States Presidential Scholars semifinalist. Whereas U.S. Presidential Scholars are high school seniors selected by the White House Commission on U.S. Presidential Scholars and the U.S. Department of Education for academic achievements, excellence evaluations, essays, transcripts, and evidence of leadership, community service, and commitment to high ideals. Whereas the United States Presidential Scholars Program was established in 1964 by President Lyndon B. Johnson by executive order, has recognized more than 7,000 of the United States' most distinguished graduating seniors. Whereas Anusha has demonstrated exceptional academic excellence in MMSD leading up to her current achievement. Attending Spring Harbor Middle School, she and 3 fellow MMSD students set the Guinness World Record for the fastest time to construct the first 25 rows of Pascal's triangle and human formation. Wow. Whereas as a Memorial High School student, she also placed second in the nation in research, persuasive writing, and speaking at the 2017 HOSA Future Health Professionals National Leadership Conference, and she was honored by the University of Wisconsin-Madison's Department of Mathematics and College of Engineering for being a 2017-2018 Talent Search winner. Wow. Now therefore be it resolved that the Madison Metropolitan School District Board of Education and the Madison Metropolitan School District community recognizes and congratulates Anusha Sahi for her outstanding scholarships and for serving as a role model and example for future generations of students to follow. Be it further resolved, this statement be permanently imprinted in the Board of Education minutes for the meeting of July 29, 2019. Many congratulations to Anusha, and the board wishes you the very best going forward. Keep up your great work and much luck into your future endeavors. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. However, we don't have the minutes today, so we will go ahead and approve them at our next meeting. Next, public appearances.
This is a written registration.
Okay, next public appearances, it looks like we have 21. As you recall, we made some improvements to the boardroom protocols to ensure the meeting runs smoothly. Thank you for signing up in the front hall. Thank you for helping us keep our aisles clear to ensure safety. And thank you for helping us ensure that every speaker has the opportunity to make their comments. We also want to remind you that because of clear feedback regarding mispronunciation of names, and we apologize for any time that has happened in the past, we are using a new system whereby each speaker can introduce themselves. However, I will say the name. If I mispronounce it, please correct me and I will try to say it right. Each speaker is given 3 minutes to speak. You must be registered to speak and cannot give your remaining time to someone else. The lighting system will turn yellow and then red so you know when it is time to wrap up. If you've gone over your time, I will ask you to immediately wrap up your comments. Speakers who require language interpretation support in order to speak to the board will be given up to 6 minutes to speak, which should generally provide sufficient time for the interpreter to convey the speaker's message. Individuals with disabilities who require accommodations in order to register and speak to the board will be granted such accommodation upon request. Other extensions may be granted only by approval of the board. Thank you again for your participating in our meeting tonight. As I said, we have 21 speakers signed up for public comment, and we will start with speaker number 1. If we could have speaker number 2, please make your way down, either down the aisle towards the front and wait by the stairs until your turn to speak is up. And please, again, introduce yourself. Speaker number 1, looks like we have Dell.
Good evening. I'm speaking tonight in support of the board's continued commitment for the plan for students at risk for not graduating and the unmet needs of all of our identified PI-25 learners. PI-25 clearly places a mantle of responsibility for children at risk and students at risk for not graduating onto the membership of this board. Throughout the 3 years of our plan implementation, my at-risk outreach has taken me into living rooms, neighborhood centers, elected official offices, and coffee shops. These are places where I have listened to voices who continue to express concerns about learners we are leaving behind. Madison's 2018-2019 ESSA LEA plan report assures us that our at-risk plan not only identifies students at risk, but also provides each of them with appropriate and adequate supports required for post-secondary success. This report emphasizes the critical need for family engagement and acknowledges increasing concerns about a growing number of students struggling to experience success. This report outlines gaps that have hampered our progress in supporting our at-risk learners and acknowledges the critical need for customized, student-centered options aligned with evidence-based practices. The report highlights the equity imperative of supporting a group of at-risk youth that is almost entirely students of color and calls for meaningful action, emphasizing a strong urgency to act now. These are our words. We know what we need to do. As we move forward, we need to reach out and bring the voices and faces of those we are commissioned to help into these discussions. In addition to PowerPoint presentations, I encourage the board to consider inviting students from the PI-25 identification roles for face-to-face feedback. As part of the May 3rd instructional work group, we welcomed an Avid Tops alumni to share his testimonial as part of Avid Tops partnership renewal. We listened carefully to his voice outlining the strengths and shortcomings of his Avid Tops experience. His contributions helped to shape renewal questions for the Avid Tops presenters. Since the beginning of this year, the board has dedicated agenda times to celebrate students receiving scholarships, recognition awards, and project and program engagement. We know how to say good job. We know how to say we care about you. What about the students with names on our PI 25 lists? Think about what we could learn from identified PI students sharing their plans and their progress towards their dreams. Now is the time we need to listen carefully to the voices of our marginalized learners to make sure our services are more than words on documents. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Janet House. Janet?
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Janet House. I am one of the ladies from Freedom Inc. I'm here about no cops in schools. I'm here to represent as one of the people from 50 Plus and Fabulous. I am also a former member, a community organizer from the West Side, Lucia Community Education Center. I've seen all and heard all of the things that goes on in schools. I think the money that you're investing for the cops should be reinvested into resources for the kids, for our black kids, counseling, transportation, better transportation for them. I think that they need a lot of leadership skills. I think that putting the cops in schools will shorten their success. I feel that anyone who has children, grandchildren, or children, adopted children, children come first, not the cops. These kids have seen and heard too many stories about cops. We want them to be protected, but we don't want to scare them. And putting fear in a child at an early age is not going to help them to succeed when they know the facts and the stories about how many cops have beaten kids, how many cops have tasered kids. I've seen and heard all of this, and it's not going to help to have cops in schools. Please reinvest. Please consider this. It's important to us. It's important to the community. We as grandparents can be in the schools instead of the cops. Put the community back in the schools. I will be there. They'll be there. Everybody that has some type of child needs that. We can protect our own community without the cops. You don't want a cop to come in and have a child thrown against the wall. The cops don't even know whether this child is disabled or has a mental, you can't see mental disability, correct? I've seen them taking people down in cuffs and handcuffs. We don't want that. It's time to stop the violence. Stop the violence with the cops. Putting them in the school is not going to help. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. House.
No cops in schools.
Thank you. Next, Stephanie Patton.
Hi. I'm Stephanie Bees Patton. I'm a 4th grade teacher at Albium Elementary. I'm also an elected member of the bargaining team, MTI bargaining team. And as we prepare for mediation, we want to meet a voluntary agreement. And to do that, we are asking for the 2.144% cost of living base wage increase for all covered employees. And anything less than 2.44 is a pay cut. Although we appreciate the thought with one-time bonuses, we really do, that does not, its non-continuous nature erodes the value of the salary schedule. So it's just not good enough, although we appreciate it. Maintaining steps and lanes along with the cost of living adjustment attracts teachers and keeps them. It is, quite honestly, because I have gotten and know I should get a base wage increase and steps and lanes increases, that I stay with the Madison School District. This is also an issue of equity and Black excellence. We need teachers of color, and devaluing the salary schedule will further hinder recruitment. Recruitment that I quite honestly don't see going very well in my own building. A budget is about values and priorities, and to value teachers is to prioritize the students that they see every day. And from the Black Excellence Coalition, students of color talked about wanting us to create clubs, activities, develop support systems, and broaden curriculum. And teachers can do this. Teachers are doing this and can do more. Yet, there are 31 fewer teachers this year, which I understand is enrollment, and 5.2 fewer EAs going into this year. Administration, though, is up 2. Assistant principals are up 3.7, and NUPs are up 2. So there's no question those positions that are going up despite enrollment and teachers going down could more than fund the $400,000 needed for COLA. So this is about priorities and valuing the teachers that are doing this work, the ones that are bringing coworkers along with them. Invest in teachers, take a hard look at your priorities, because 0.12% for the district point of view in your budget seems minor, but for us it's major. And anything less than a cost of living base wage increase results in the erosion of pay rates and leaves employees behind.
Thank you. Nancy Killoran.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Killoran. I've worked at Hawthorne for 24 years. Currently, I'm a clerical EA there. I have been on the ESEA MTI board as secretary for 8 years, and I went to kindergarten in this building. I am here representing the MTI bargaining team and want to reiterate our desire to come to an agreement with the board to establish the full cost of living base wage increase of 2.44% for all Madison Metropolitan School District employees. As we prepare for mediation, I'm taking this opportunity to remind you why we deserve this. Tonight, I represent the educational support employees, the hourly wage earners that work in the district, the special ed assistants, nurse assistants, SEA subs, clerical employees, family liaisons, computer and AV techs, programmers, and security assistants. I am here because many of my colleagues in the ESEA unit cannot be here because they have second jobs or are powering through this last week of summer school. As I get ready for the 2019-2020 school year, Hawthorne can count on me to return to my position in the office. While I spend most of my mornings reconciling attendance for some 400 students, I also communicate with parents, volunteers, subs, and students as they enter our building. I create many tools for the staff, including the template for everyone's position, room, and phone number. I write and edit the school newsletter. Plus, I keep the website and calendars up to date. And this is just a snapshot of my job. All around me, my friends, my colleagues tend to the students in our building. There is great care there. I realize that the district has made an offer that is extremely close to what we are asking for, but accepting that 2.32% means we start the school year already behind financially. For many of us, it is hard to catch up. Clearly, there is a way to reach an agreement, as some members of the board have demonstrated. Our students will soon be in school supplies mode. They and their families will be looking at lists, choosing folders and pencils. And they have those school supplies lists because someone clerical, me at Hawthorne, made those school supplies lists available. There are so many things that we all do. and we should be compensated fairly for the work that is expected of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Turkowski.
Hi, my name is Amy Turkowski. You did get it right. Thank you. I'm a first grade teacher at Franklin Elementary School. I am about to start my 15th year of teaching. I think that deserves a clap. I'm just kidding. Yes, 15 years of teaching. I'm also an elected member of the MTI Handbook and Bargaining Committee. I also serve on the MTI Board of Directors, and I serve as a faculty rep at Franklin. I'm here tonight on behalf of the nearly 4,000 MMSD employees asking to continue to seek a 2.44 cost of living base wage increase for all employees. I want to make sure you got both parts. It's cost of living on top of the base wage. I think that's where we differ just a little. The current proposal from the district, and especially from Kelly, is 2.32 base wage increase, and we are so appreciative. I know Kelly has worked so hard for this, and she's scrubbed the budget, she's talked about it. I know it's personal to her. I know her dedication, and I appreciate this time and energy. And it's not just lip service. I want to look at Kelly like, I know how hard you worked on this. However, it's just not good enough. 0.12 is just a little too short. And while this discrepancy, like Stephanie said, might feel minor for you as the board or even for our community members, this discrepancy is a major difference for us as MMSD employees. Anything less than a 2.44 cost of living base wage increase erodes the salary schedule and the various pay scales, which includes our custodians, our food service workers, our building trades, and our special ed assistants. This erosion leaves employees behind. As a district, we are better than that. A cost of living base wage increase for all employees is a minimal expectation. I stand before you begging for the minimum, but I don't stand alone. If you're an MMSD employee who believes a 2.44 cost of living base wage increase for all employees, I ask that you quietly stand. Again, we are here tonight asking for the minimum. As we prepare for mediation, we are hopeful that as employees of this great district, we can reach a voluntary agreement. As members of the school board, I'm asking for your help. Be change makers. Be the board that shows the community that you value MMSD employees. Be the board that shows MMSD employees that you value them. Be the board that shows MMSD students that their teachers, their custodians, their food service workers, their building trade workers, their office staff, their nurses, and their people who care about them are worth it to you. Please support MTI's proposal for a 2.44 cost of living base wage increase for all employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Trisha Zunker.
Hello, my name is Trisha Zunker. Haina Chiwita Haipi, Ho-chan Kurajga, Hinak Pihingare. I just said it's great to see all of you. My name is Good Woman in Ho-chan.
Could you speak up a little bit in the mic?
Oh, okay. Are you not able to hear it?
That's better.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay. All right. Well, I will back that up then. I can probably do it in 2.5. All right. Good evening. My name is Trisha Zunker. Haina Chiwita Haipi, Ho-chan Kurajga, Hinak Pihingare. I just said in my Ho-chunk language, it is good to see all of you. My name is Good Woman in Ho-chunk. I do serve my people as Associate Justice of the Ho-chunk Supreme Court. However, I am here tonight in my capacity as President of the WASA Board of Education. And the reason that I am here is because the WASA Board of Education is submitting a number of resolutions to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards annual convention. And one of them is a resolution that is urging retiring Native American mascots, logos, symbols, and nicknames. The WASA Board of Education has voted unanimously in favor. That is a 9-0 vote. Part of the discussions on this were regarding seeking co-sponsorship. I am here tonight asking the Madison Metropolitan Board of Education to co-sponsor this resolution with the Wausau Board of Education. I don't need to get into the merits, I don't think, about this topic. But I will tell you, it wasn't just simply prompted by the fact that I am a Ho-Chunk woman. We live in an area where we have Native American mascots. And we have students that move in and out of the area. And we have to consider what our students are being exposed to. Not simply our Native American students, but our non-Native students that are unwillingly participating in culture shaming, in not appreciating cultures, in mocking cultures. So just to the south of us in Wausau, for instance, the school district's mascot is the Indians. Can you imagine showing up to an athletic function and cheering, "Beat the Indians"? It's not okay. And we need to take a stand. And I was actually surprised when I spoke to attorneys at WASB who told me that a resolution on this topic had never been submitted. So I don't know, maybe it had years ago, I don't know, but that's what I was told. So that's what prompted us at the Wausau Board of Education. One of the things in the resolution is references to Act 31. And that was really the only question about Act 31. Why was that included? And I said, because it's common knowledge that many districts fail to meet the requirements of Act 31. So if you consider that, and this DPI says it, WASB says it, but if you consider the fact that students aren't meeting Act 31, and then we have these mascots, it's essentially a negative education students are getting. So I would urge and respectfully request that you would consider co-sponsorship with the Wausau School Board of Education. Wainigan Optiona.
Thank you, Jury M.
Good evening, school board. I'm Jewel Adams, and I'm here with the No Cops in School campaign. I first wonder, is that to help us or to hurt us? And what I'm seeing is that for many years we struggle with our children can't read, can't write, or can't do arithmetic. We came up with no solution, but yet you all took a year or two to come up with cops in schools, when still our children cannot read, write, or do arithmetic. You say no child left behind. Our children are still being left behind. I was on the bus today and I was talking to some kids from school and I asked them how do they feel about cops being in their school. They do not like it. These are not children that's with the No Cops in School campaign. They don't even know about it. I just asked them. One young man said that he had been ticketed 3 times and the 4th time downtown he went. Why? We do not need cops in our school to help our kids. We need tutors in our school. We need people to help with reading. We need people to help with writing. We need people to help with arithmetic. The money that you all are spending to invest in cops in school, hey, these teachers here want some more. Give them some. We women here, we're unemployed. Half of us are unemployed. We can go to school and monitor our own children. We have jail reentry programs with black men getting out of prison with no jobs because it's hard to find jobs. They can go into the school and monitor their own children for less the pay of what you're paying the cops to go into school. Putting cops in school is not gonna solve anything. And if someone, such as the teachers, because I know it's not the students, is scared that they need cops to be into school to protect them, then they need another job. We do not need cops in our schools. You know, you belong on the street in patrol cars, protecting the street, not standing inside of the high school waiting on our children to be late to class to get a ticket. to get a ticket because you're late to class? And then 3 tickets, you're rushed down to Dane County Jail. So now you have a record for being late to class? So we're building jails to put our students in instead of we're building our students up. We're tearing them down with the cops in schools, not building up. Build our students up, not tear them down.
Thank you. Next, we have Hope. Hope V.
I'd just like to say thank you, Ms. Jewel and Ms. Janet. You both had really amazing speeches tonight. So today, my friend and coworker could not be here tonight, but has kindly asked that I share her concerns with you all here tonight. She quotes, "This weekend, I took my 3-year-old to the Goodman Pool. I saw children having fun, enjoying the beautiful weather and being kids. What happened to allowing kids be kids? We did not always have cops in schools. What did teachers do before when kids were being kids? School fights are nothing new. Kids with behavioral issues is nothing new. When did we need cops to police our kids being kids? Kids did not get worse. They are still just kids with the same developmental needs and issues they've always had. What has changed is that we saw mass shootings involving white males and thought cops in all our schools would make us safe. All cops in schools do is disparately affect our black kids, pushing them through a school-to-prison pipeline. Cops are not trained in working with kids with special needs. Kids are still kids and need safe and culturally specific responses to do well in schools. What has worked is community-based accountability systems. That is why we need to ask our schools to use community control to keep schools safe. Let our communities dictate what resources students need and how to keep students accountable. Use funds intended for EROs for more mental wellness services, better school equipment, more teacher support, and retention of teachers of colors. All kids, not just white kids, should be allowed to be kids. They should be allowed to get angry, get sad, fall in love, be joyful. It is up to us adults to create a proper foundation for all kids to thrive. Now, Nancy's concerns are all the same concerns of many folks of color, especially black folks in MMSD. You all on the school board actually have the money, or not, if you don't have the money, you have the power to shift the money that's being used for EROs to invest in the leadership, wellness, and creativity of students of color. If you need ideas on how to do that, go look on all the trees we've displayed back out there. The youth here today have endless ideas and suggestions in order to thrive. Listen to the youth who are most impacted by police in schools. Answer their cries and invest in them. When the police take space in schools, someone else in school is losing space. And you all know who the ones that are losing space. They are the black students. Are you going to continue taking space from black and brown students by allowing the police to seat in schools? Or will you invest in youth of color? Take police out of schools, invest in the leadership, wellness, and creativity of youth of color, and lastly, let the community have decision-making power over what happens in MMSD schools.
Thank you. JC? JC?
Police officers were put into Police officers were put into society for the purpose of protecting the public and serving the communities. Police are supposed to be our heroes, but yet they don't respect our communities, so we don't put our trust in them. Police were created to be slave catchers when slaves were trying to gain freedom. Recently, during summer, an act happened. A queer black girl got kicked out of school, and she wanted to wait for her mom. Teachers called the police because she wouldn't leave the school ground. They had her up against the gate arrested. The things we see in our communities make us look at police differently. This is why we don't need police in our schools, and we need change in our communities. Our demands is to get cops out of schools, invest money into youth of color, let parents, students, and communities have control over our school discipline. Having cops in schools won't help anyone at all, because you see that kids are still falling behind, kids are still failing in school, kids might not even go to college. Maybe you should think about giving out scholarships to black kids that can't go to college or can't afford it. Maybe you should help pay for driver's eds, that kids can't pay for driver's ed because they don't have $300 to pay for it because it's expensive, and they can't drive because they don't have the money to pay. Maybe help people that's on the streets that don't have food every night, that don't have nowhere to shower, and don't have nowhere to lay, get beds. Maybe help people that are homeless, maybe help people that are not.
Thank you. AT.
My name is Alina, and I'm from Breeding Inc. I am a student in Madison School District. And here's what I have to say. Police are responsible for developing safety comprehensive plans to ensure schools are safe places for students to learn. But many black students are getting tickets and locked up. And why for that reason? They are arguing because of people's different opinion and argument, which takes 2 or more people to cause an argument, and that can lead to fights. But it's normal because everybody's emotion changes when they hit puberty. Therefore, we should have more counselors than police. Why? Police takes those students' education away from them by getting those students locked up. And that's not what us students want. We want education to have a better life in the future and not getting locked up. Getting us locked up is not going to teach us anything, but going to school and getting education will teach us how to get a better life in the future. That's why there should be no cops in school. Invest in youth of color instead. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is, looks like Janet House signed up twice. Somebody gonna come up for Janet House? Okay. Next is Ma Yang.
Hi, my name is Ma Yang. I am a graduate of Madison Schools. Have we not made ourselves clear that we do not want cops in our schools? I still don't understand why this is still an ongoing issue. I still have not heard a good reason why cops are in schools. Are they supposed to be educating our students? Isn't that supposed to be a teacher's jobs? Cops are not teachers. Why are you spending so much money into something that is not going to help improve our students' education? You, as school board members, are supposed to be doing what is best for all students. MMSD, you have failed my family. Your school claimed that 4 of my brothers are slow learners. By doing this, my brothers were taken out of classes and was supposed to get individualized support. But that sounds great, right? But then it actually wasn't. They were not put in the same classes as their peers and were not being taught a single thing. The school has let my brothers down. I feel that because my parents do not speak English and that my brothers spoke limited English, there was no actual support. Why is it that the school will say that my brother cannot do certain tasks, but then when they came home, they were able to do those exact tasks that the school claimed that they couldn't? This showed that the school is not actually prepared to support students of disability, does not support students with disabilities, especially students of colors with disabilities. You may have failed my family, but then you could do better for the future generation. Stop investing in cops and actually invest in students of color with disability. They need more resources, and our schools need to be better trained up to give students of color with disability the education that they need to graduate and pursue in education and jobs after high school. Thank you.
Thank you.
SY.
Cops are not trained to build relationships with students of color. They are only there to protect white students and the property of white people. How can the school board members expect cops to build relationships with students of color when all they do is cause harm? Not just harm, but also trauma. Do you think students of color will feel safe in school, or will your white students feel safe? Or do you only think about white students' safety? Young black girls especially do not feel safe at school. They don't want a space where they're being sexualized, criminalized, and traumatized. Many young black girls are being arrested, and those reasons are because they are arguing, fighting, or not showing up to class. But this behavior is totally normal for teenagers. We argue when we don't feel heard, we fight, we don't show up for classes. This is the time when teenagers are going through changes, but specifically physical, mental, and emotional changes. We go through changes, we tend to make mistakes that do not need to be punished for. Therefore, this is why you school members need to make spaces for young girls at school. Hire teachers of color, give resources to students of color, and provide better school lunches. Overall, no cops in schools.
Thank you. Savang Chorm.
Good evening, school board. Welcome, Sivyong. As a Cambodian refugee American, I have been displaced over and over and over and over again, escaping my motherland because of war, leaving my home and my families behind. Living in Thailand refugee camps was no fun. I see many dead bodies and kids starving to death. For 2 years, my family struggled to survive. We lived there for another year until we got sponsored here. We were displaced once again when we settled here. I want you to know that I have been moved 48 times in my lifetime, and that's what's my people, Cambodian people. They've been displaced over and over and over again. Tomorrow, I will take one of our elders to go check with ICE, and I don't know if he's gonna get detained or being deported. His wife is here. She couldn't sleep. Can you imagine that? Having your family taken away from you again? You know what? Police is no different from ICE. They separate families. This is the school to prison pipeline. Another thing, one of my students was supposed to be here to talk, but she had to attend to her grandma who's dying. And she wanted me to read this. My name is Sodia. Things I am concerned about going into high school. She was in 8th grade, she's going into high school. Police in school, whether I'm getting more support or not. I am going to be a freshman later on this year. There are a few things that I am concerned about going into high school. Like having cops in our school, I am worried that the cops are going to target me just for being the colored I am, or for what I look like. I don't want to be treated the same way. I wanted to be treated the same way like everyone else. I also think that school should have better counseling teens or younger kids. For example, a girl once told me that she was sexually assaulted and tried to tell the counselor and other teachers, but they didn't do anything. They said they will investigate, quote, but they really weren't. They never gave her any update or anything. Here are Freedom in Demand: remove cops from school, invest in education that promote leadership, build transformative justice instead of punishing youth, and give youth and family decision maker. Thank you.
Thank you. Shira A. Shira.
My name is Shira, and I'm a youth coordinator at Freedom Inc. This weekend will be the last weekend of Books and Breakfast this summer. Books and Breakfast is a program for elementary school kids, and we feed them breakfast and teach them about how to be safe and Black and brown history. The first year, the kids came in and they were shy and barely wanted to say their name. We would teach them about pronouns, and when we did one-on-one readings, they would sometimes break out of their shells and answer some questions. The second year, it was the same thing, but they were a little more talkative. We taught them about how to keep their bodies safe, and it's okay to say no. This year, we had a lot of Black and brown children. They had a lot of energy and love to play, like kids are supposed to be. When they act like that in school, they would get the cops called on them when they just want to play. When they get upset or agitated, we would talk it out and go on a walk with them. We believed in building children and not breaking them. We would never think about calling the police or having them around them. Some things that we talked about with them was Martin Luther King and Fannie Lou Hamer. Fannie Lou Hamer was a Black woman that went into surgery for a tumor and came out without a uterus. When we talked about it with them, they cringed and said that they didn't want to talk about it because that made them sad. Another thing that we talked about was the LGBTQ community. They had a lot of questions and even knew what LGBT stand for. Whatever we taught at Books and Breakfast to these kids should have been talked about in school. We are teaching them and loving them. We are teaching them and loving them just how the way that they should be in school. We have 3 demands. The first one is to take cops out of school, completely take them out. Not no undercover, not no one without the uniforms. Not the one without uniforms, just with the guns. We want them completely out. The second one is invest into youth of color. Give them better lunches, bus passes, and more. The last one is let community members, parents, and students have a decision on their learning. Let students pick what they want to learn. For example, their culture. When I was in school, we only learned about slavery and how they got beat and raped by white slave owners. I didn't know about all the other Black excellence that happened. I learned that from Freedom Inc. Invest into Black students and not cops.
Thank you. Hua Yang.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hua. I would like to start by saying cops do not protect black and brown bodies. Cops do not protect LGBTQ and gender non-conforming bodies. Cops do not protect children with mental wellness or disabled bodies. There have been countless incidents of cops not knowing how to properly handle children and youth in our schools. Recently, a black high school student with a mental disability was failed by Madison schools and assaulted by the Madison Police Department. First and foremost, the schools have a responsibility of knowing how to care for their students who have mental disabilities. If not, our schools need to invest in counselors who specialize in working with youth who are disabled or have mental wellness. Secondly, the brutal way these cops handle this youth clearly shows cops do not have the proper training on how to interact with youth, let alone a youth with a mental disability. Time and time again, our youth are failed by these cops. When will it be enough? When will you see that cops are not supposed to be in the same spaces as students? Personally, I am a mother of a child who has autism. And for what I've seen lately, I've been scared for him daily. When my son gets frustrated or his surrounding gets too loud, he taps on his legs, hums, tells people to stop, or bangs the walls. His calming mechanisms to outsiders can be seen as violent behavior. I do not want my child to be begged and beat up by cops because in the act of calming himself down, he was seen as a threat or misbehaving. I need for his educational leaders to understand him and to know how to calm him. We need better services for our children and our students with disabilities. We need improvements in accessibility to care, communication, and knowledge on how to care for children with disabilities. Letting cops define what is normal behavior and threatening behavior is dangerous to black and brown children. Shame on cops for forcing parents to keep labeling their children with disabilities so they can protect them. Stop giving our children definite expectations of how tasks should be done and punishing them for when they do things differently. Right now, you have the chance to stop this contract and reinvest funds in better disability services, hire counselors who specialize in mental wellness, and invest in resources students need. Give parents power-making decisions and control over discipline. You have the choice to stand on the right side of history and remove cops out of schools. What will you choose? I will choose to stand on the right side of history and stand against anything that disproportionately disadvantages black and brown, LGBTQ, and disabled bodies. Police in schools disproportionately disadvantages black and brown bodies, especially those with disabilities. We cannot and will not stand behind cops in our schools any longer. Black and Southeast states demand no cops in schools, invest in wellness, creativity, and learning of youth of color, and community control of school and safety. Thank you.
Thank you. ALT.
My name is Maital, and I'm a Youth Justice Coordinator at Freedom Inc. I'm here to stand up for students with disabilities. All students with disabilities should have the right to be treated like any other kid in the world. They should not be treated differently because they learn differently and because of the way they appear. I understand that there are students out there that may not be able to learn the way the system says is normal. But I also learned that students do not need to look a certain way to get this label. I know how it feels to be labeled as disabled. It is nice to have someone there to do things for you, but that is not helpful either because then you are not learning. Someone is just there to do the work for you. Having a learning disability sucks because everyone around me at school always asks why I have things so easy. It was always so hard to tell them that the school system put me and many others under this, and it was not my decision. If I got the chance to have a second chance, why can't other people that aren't really disabled get one too? When I talked about having a second chance, I think about when I got an IEP. People that have a learning disability like me get it. My brothers are labeled as disabled, got an IEP, but yet with an IEP, they didn't get to learn things like I did. If my brothers had an IEP, what else went wrong that my brothers still struggle to read? Why are police in schools? Why are students, especially students with disability, learning from the police in school? I thought school was supposed to be a place for other teachers, counselors, nurses, lunch staff, custodians, and a principal. A policeman is none of the above, so why are they there? How is their presence beneficial to students? Police presence at school is a distraction to the students because they are making students feel scared. When I needed to talk to someone, I didn't go to the police to talk about what was going on. I talked to someone who could probably help me. When I think about people that could help me at school, the first thing that comes up are close teachers that I have a close bond with, not police because they don't come across my mind. Police can't treat students correctly, so how can they treat students with disabilities any different? Take out the police now so that they can stop hurting students with disabilities.
Thank you. Monker?
Okay, hey everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, feels like I haven't been up here in a while, but it's, building looking all nice and new and renovated and stuff. Yeah, I want to talk to all of y'all about what we see going on in the schools in terms of having police in the schools and different alternatives that we actually see in the community, and specifically it's Freedom Inc. So from the research that I've been doing and a couple other organizations nationally have been doing into this district and what they're spending on police and discipline and what the numbers are looking like, right? What is the real life impact on Black students when you have police in schools? And when we're looking at from whether it's arrests, citations, tickets, whatever, and all the things that folks are getting cited for and arrested for, that are these really subjective things like, truancy or like disorderly conduct or like resisting arrest and things like that. And we're seeing that we're spending all this money, whether it's the police or it's the disciplinary staff, we're spending all this money, or even the teachers. How much time, how many times I've been in meetings with teachers and they have to take all this time out of their day to track on the behavior chart or whatever every time my client's kid does whatever, anything, right? All the money and resources that we're spending on that, if we look at the statistics of who is affected by discipline the most in our schools, it's Black children and it's Black girls, and it's Black children with disabilities. So really, y'all are spending a lot of time and energy and money into disciplining them, when actually what's happening in other organizations and around this community, and what Shira touched on earlier with Books and Breakfast, is that instead of breaking down our Black youth, we're actually building them up. So what does that look like? That looks like, for me, someone who gets paid to do direct service work. So that means a lot of times Black women who are going through domestic violence and sexual assault come to my office, and I do case management work with them, whether that means finding them housing or that means taking them to court. That means sitting in on meetings with their lawyers so that their voices can be amplified and heard. I spend maybe technically 40 hours a week doing that. That's my full-time job, right? And then what do we do with the little resources that we manage to fundraise on Give Out Day, or that we manage to fundraise through different times during the year, maybe like, selling t-shirts or whatever it is? We do programs like Books and Breakfast, right? We don't have the money to make our building look all super nice like this, but we spend it on getting books for our kids that reflect them and reflect their greatness back at them. We don't have the time. But I'm at that damn office maybe like, I don't even know how many hours a week. Books and Breakfast is a summertime weekend program. I'm at the office on Sundays for our Pat Parker Queer Radical Black Feminist Organizing School to learn how to deal with our folks, how to build with our folks, how to love on each other, and how to get these alternative futures that we seek for our people. So what is happening at Books and Breakfast that's not happening at the schools? Because we never lay hands on our kids, we never have administrators punch them in the face, pulling braids out, whatever it is. What is happening at these community sourced and funded programs that's not happening at the school? How are we able to not funnel our children to prison? How? Because we actually invest not only money, which we don't have, but our time. We invest building relationships with them. We actually see them as people. We see them as people who are acting age appropriately. Yes. For the 17th time that I told one kid to put Play-Doh away, right? After that, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and play with this Play-Doh with this kid. Because I'm wasting my damn time trying to tell them to put it away, right? Like Shira was talking about. I'm Shira's supervisor. Shira gets on my damn nerves. And them kids get on Shira's damn nerves. And you know what Shira does? She takes a deep breath. She walks with them like she said. We don't believe in harming our kids for age-appropriate behavior. We don't believe in tracking every single little thing that they do for age-appropriate behavior. We want them to have a future. We want them to be something. These are kids that don't get into all the nice little after-school programs. They're kids that don't get to go to the camps. They're kids that don't get to be standing up here that they want a spelling bee or whatever. Those are the ones that we're putting time into. And if we can figure out how to work with them and how to have them literally understand what is transphobia, what is homophobia, and I got little kids telling me what that means, then y'all can do it too. Right? Then y'all can do it too. And we're working with the kids who, like another person said, the police will be called on them if they were acting like this in schools. So if we can do it, y'all can do it too. Y'all can set the standard for all of your employees and staff in this district to do that too. Y'all can decide to not pay the damn police to be in there. And don't call them for nothing and hold adults who use police. It's already a terribly imbalanced power dynamic, being an adult and being versus a youth in a school. They already feel like they don't have any power in that situation. Why in the hell do you need a police officer on top of that before we even get to security guards? So I really want y'all to think about what's going on in the schools. And why is it that the impact of that is our black kids ending up in jail or ending up wrapped up in this criminal justice system? It doesn't need to happen. Y'all can fix up this building all you want, but y'all still doing the same low down dirty shit every month by continuing to let this contract keep going. You should be in there working with the damn mayor's office to figure out how to get control and oversight over this police department and how to make sure that they're not ticketing and citing our kids while they're in there for things that will ruin their lives. Like Ms. Jewell was saying, truancy. That doesn't move a kid's behavior at all. That doesn't move them from one thing that you say they're doing wrong to a better outcome. All that does is pushes them out. So again, remove the police from schools. Figure out how to do it. Start with this one school opportunity that y'all are talking about, but really take them all out. Have actual accountability processes for adults, grown people who get paid to be in this room with these kids to be using the police against kids. That should never even be an option, right? And then what that looks like when you're saying build alternatives. Build alternatives to punishment. Punishment doesn't work. What about transformative justice, real transformative justice? And clearly it's broken over at the district because the person who was y'all star for it ended up beating the shit out of a kid. So fix that. Fix it. And then community control. If these grandparents, if these grandmothers, these Black and Khmer and Hmong grandmothers can figure out, oh my God, I need to be in the school with those kids. Whatever discipline or whatever I'm gonna do with them, it's not gonna land them in jail. Then y'all can see that too. They're ready. They're ready to go into the schools.
Thank you, Munker. John?
Thank you and hello. My name is June. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. My parents are Khmer refugees, and I work at Freedom Inc. I'm here to tell you now why I do not support cops in schools. I know that you don't really care about my story or my experience as a queer and trans person of color, so I'll provide you with some statistics. According to the HRC, 1 in 5 LGBTQ youth face bullying within schools. 80% of LGBTQ youth show signs of depression, and LGBTQ youth are 4 times as likely as straight youth to commit suicide. These statistics from the HRC clearly do not aggregate for race, but we can clearly understand that students of color that are queer face high disproportionate amounts of violence. So what do you, as a school board, do to provide safety for LGBTQ students? You put cops in school to police Black and brown youth. So this then begs to the question, when queer youth of color are in schools, how do they interact with SROs? According to the GSA network with the University of Arizona, they conducted a qualitative analysis survey and they found 3 main things. 1, that SROs see LGBTQ youth of color as problems. They are not humans, they are people to be policed, they are students to be criminalized. They are targeted for their gender expression. They are policed to not go to bathrooms. They are told not to wear nail polish, to not wear dresses. Trans students are kicked out of schools. That's what SROs do. School administrators use SROs to enforce trans students to not allow themselves to be their full selves within school. LGBTQ students then are not seen as human. So how do they ask the question, SROs don't really provide safety for queer youth. Even when queer youth of color go to SROs for bullying problems, SROs don't believe them. Within the same qualitative data analysis study, they say, well, if you weren't so gay, you wouldn't be bullied. If you didn't stand out so much, you wouldn't be bullied. If you didn't wear braids like that, you wouldn't be bullied. If you weren't such a faggot like that, you wouldn't be bullied. That's what SROs are saying to youth of color within schools. All these factors contribute to mental wellness problems for students of color, specifically Black queer students of color, that your SROs continue to propagate and incarcerate youth of color at a disproportionate amount. You are contributing to systemic problems within Madison, one of the worst places to raise Black children in all of the United States. So instead of criminalizing students, I ask you to ask a different sociological question. For why are these students not showing up to school? Why are these students being truant? And the answer is simple. You have created an environment for students that is not safe. Why would an LGBTQ student of color want to show up to a school where administrators police them, do not allow them to perform their true trans or gender identity, where harassment and bullying is prevalent, where they can never be their full selves? Why would I want to go to school? If a bitch is gonna call me a faggot, why would I want to go? I would be late to school. This school board has continued to fail and see the real impact that SROs have within schools. Just in the fall of 2015, an LGBTQ student of color committed suicide within the Madison School District. 4 years ago, Skylar Lee, a trans Korean American who went to your schools, was having mental wellness problems. What did you do? Nothing. They committed suicide on your watch. You invest in SROs, not counselors, that could have provided essential care for that person to still be alive today. So, How have you changed in the past 5 years? How have you changed to help Skylar to be alive today? What have you done to provide safety for queer youth of color? I'm serious. This isn't a rhetorical question. You haven't done shit, but you have invested in prisons that participate in the school to prison pipeline, renewed the contract with SROs to keep pushing out students of color from being in the Madison School District. So we have 3 demands for you. Remove all these fucking cops from your school. Allow community control of the police so aunties and grandmas and students can participate and have oversight and transformative justice practices to heal with students, to hold them truly to be accountable. And invest in youth. Today you have the opportunity to keep investing in youth so we do not fail another student in your school district like Skylar who is having mental wellness issues. We can provide counselors or culturally specific learning where students would want to come to school, where school can be a safe space for LGBTQ students of color. So, when you're thinking about these school board meetings, I want you to think about what happened 4 years ago. When you make your decisions about SROs in school, they have direct impacts on people like Skylar and myself. So what would you continue to do? Will more LGBTQ students of color disappear on your watch? I hope not.
Thank you. Zon Moa. Zon Moa.
Hi, everyone. My name is pronounced Zhong. First, I would like to, it's been very heavy. I don't know if you all have been feeling it. So first off, I really want to applaud the courage and wisdom of all the Black and Southeast Asian youth and elders who came out and spoke and shared their stories. I don't know if you all know this, but actually for a lot of them, it's really hard. They prepared these testimonies weeks in ahead, actually like some of them months ahead. And when the day rolls up, I always get a lot of messages and they're like, I'm having a lot of anxiety. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if my English is good. My grammar's off. Can you check this? I don't know if it's good. So I think you all should take it more seriously when they actually come up here and speak and tell the truth and tell you what are their real concerns and actually do something about it instead of just pretending to listen. And then I also want to thank my team, the Youth Justice team, for always providing space here because you all clearly don't, right? They've been making space. They've been bringing food for the last 2 years to every single event to feed the community. And that is what you all should actually be doing instead of, spending like $2 million on policing and security. But I wanted to continue on the conversation that June started around queer students and queer people in policing. So I had actually wrote an article for the Our Lives magazine, and then my friend read it and said something really amazing. So I'm going to open up with that, and then I'll share a little bit of my article. But what my friend actually said was, cops not only create and recreate the culture of fear, homophobia, and transphobia perpetrated by society and the state, they protect the interests of the ruling class, founded on white heteronormativity and patriarchy. So if that is the case, why do we have police in our schools? As a queer Southeast Asian woman, why do I care about getting cops out of my neighborhood and out of schools? Simply put, that reason. So a few years ago, I attended a concert with a trans fluid person who was my partner at the time. They presented a bit more masculine, but you could tell they were gender nonconforming. As we lined up to go through security, I could sense my partner's body tensing up. They had previous bad encounters with security in the past, and it was traumatizing for them. When it was my turn to walk in, the male security officer did a quick scan with his metal detector wand and took a quick peek into my purse. My partner went next. Before we were even able to speak, the officer's hand went to my partner's chest, searching up and down. I was in shock. There had been no heads up or warning about the physical search. They did not ask if it was okay to search their body. There was no explanation. It was a lose-lose situation. That was the moment I fully realized that trans and queer people are not seen as whole beings, but rather objects that need to be corrected by any means. Trans and queer people don't fit neatly into the binaries and boxes set up by our society. And law enforcement zeroes in on gender non-binary folks by using physically and sexually violent tactics, such as strip and body cavity searches. This is a dehumanizing act and is often used with trans and queer people to exert power and enforce the gender binary. This, in turn, forces trans women into men's prison and solitary confinement, while failing to protect queer and trans folks who are the targets of homophobic and transphobic attacks. So mind you, this happened outside in the community. If this can happen outside in our communities, I can't even imagine what happens in our schools under your watch. Why are you allowing this to happen? Take cops out of school. Invest in leadership. Take cops out of school. Invest in creativity. Take cops out of school. Invest in wellness. No cops in school. Invest in the leadership, wellness, and creativity of Black youth and other students of color. You have the power. And if you're saying you have no money, again, according to your records, you're spending $2 million on policing and security. Do better.
Thank you. Judith Stadler.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for your support of clean energy in the resolution that was presented at your meeting in April. As you know, Dane County and the city of Madison, as well as Madison's neighbors, including the city of Middleton and Fitchburg, where I live, have already established 100% renewable energy resolutions and have begun to identify paths toward climate action. It only makes sense for MMSD, just a subset of these entities, to pursue similar goals. Successful implementation of the goals outlined in the resolution would provide unparalleled, hands-on learning opportunities for students, especially given a growing clean energy job sector. Students will be disproportionately affected by the consequences of climate change. Schools therefore represent the ground zero of environmental action. MMSD's commitment to a 100% renewable future would affirm its commitment toward its students, including my grandchildren. Schools are perhaps the prime location to install clean energy projects, as they are highly visible to the general public in the community. I hope you support specific clean energy steps as the 2020 referendum is defined, and thank you again for your support of clean energy to this date. Thank you.
Thank you. That completes our public testimony. Just wanted to mention before we move on that there's cake left over, so help yourself. It's in the cafeteria. We call it the cafeteria. At the staff lounge, so help yourself. There's lots of cake. So next on our agenda is the board president's announcements. You want to take 5? Okay. All right, let's go ahead. I'm having a request to take 5 minutes. So let's make it 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So the next item on the agenda is the board president's announcements and reports. The first item under this agenda is the WASB resolution, the Wisconsin Association of School Board resolution on Native American mascot, Wausau School District resolution. This is the resolution that they are trying to pass through the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. School districts that have this resolution on their agenda is Sun Prairie, Prescott, Milwaukee, Eau Claire, and Shawano, is it? Shawano, okay. There appears to be strong statewide support, and it's just a matter of when the boards can get this on their agenda, get approved. We have Tara Tyndall, MMSD Native American teacher leader, is in full support of this resolution, and Sean Saiz, who was here, who had to leave, he is the chair of the Title VI Parent Committee and is also in full agreement of this resolution. I'm just going to go ahead and read the resolution quickly. Resolution recommending legislation requiring school districts retire Native American mascots. Whereas the continued use of Native American mascot symbols, images, logos, and nicknames undermines the educational experience of members of all communities. Whereas the continued use of Native American mascots, symbols, images, logos, and nicknames teaches non-Native American children and that it is acceptable to engage in culturally abusive behavior and perpetuate inaccurate misconceptions about Native American people, culture, history, sovereignty, government, customs, and traditions. Whereas the continued use of Native American mascots, symbols, images, logos, and nicknames establishes an unwelcome, divisive, and hostile learning environment for Native American students that affirm negative stereotypes that are promoted in mainstream society. Whereas the continued use of Native American mascots, symbols, images, logos, and nicknames is an offensive and intolerable practice of Native American tribal nations that must be eradicated. Whereas the continued use of the Native American mascots, symbols, images, logos, and nicknames has a negative impact on other communities by allowing for the perpetuation of stereotypes and stigmatization of another cultural group. And whereas the continued use of Native American mascots, symbols, images, logos, and nicknames undermines the ability of Native American tribal nations to portray respectful and accurate images of their history, culture, government, sovereignty, customs, and traditions. And whereas in 2005, the American Psychological Association called for immediate retirement of Native American mascots, symbols, images, because of the harm caused to the social identity, development, and self-esteem of Native American students, and because non-Native American students witness perpetuation of derogatory stereotypes, and whereas continued use of Native American mascots, symbols, images, logos, and nicknames does not empower Native American students towards academic achievement and success. And whereas Wisconsin is comprised of 421 public school districts and approximately 31 districts retain use of Native American mascots, symbols, images, logos, or nicknames. And whereas Wisconsin recognizes the importance of education regarding the 11 federally recognized tribes in Wisconsin through Act 31. Now therefore be it resolved, the WASB supports legislation requiring school districts to retire Native American mascots. This is a resolution that will be presented to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, and we just need to vote on this. So it is recommended that the Madison Metropolitan School District Board of Education join the Wausau School District Board of Education in support of the attached resolution relative to retiring Native American mascots. This resolution will be submitted to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards Policy Resolution Committee for the potential to be voted on by all Wisconsin school districts at the annual convention in January 2020.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, Anika, can I have your advisory vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, resolution passes.
May I say?
Yes.
Okay. I was earlier today in Black River Falls with the Native American women that spoke
on behalf of WASB, on behalf of this resolution. And she was giving us a presentation around the history of Native and Indigenous people, in particular in the state of Wisconsin. So although I support this resolution, this is just one step that we can do. There's so much more to do in regards to Act 31 and for our children to learn the rightful owners of this land.
Thank you, Ananda. Okay.
I would strongly agree with my colleagues.
Yep. Thank you. All right, so our next resolution is honoring Dr. Jennifer Cheatham. This is your last meeting. And I'm very sad. We're all very sad. Dr. Cheatham, our beloved superintendent for the past 6 years, is moving on from the Madison Metropolitan School District and is leaving a very positive and powerful, lasting impact on all of us. Jen has not only been an exemplary leader, but a wonderful person and friend to so many of us here in Madison, in this community. Under Dr. Jen Cheatham's leadership, we have made commendable progress towards learning-centered goals, including critical reading proficiency scores and high school graduation rates, and have striven to create thriving schools environments for all students, families, and staff. Dr. Cheatham's relentless commitment to making our district a more equitable place for all has certainly had a positive impact on many and will continue to do so long after her departure. I would now like to leave this time open for the board members to share any farewell wishes to Jen before we honor her with the board's resolution.
At least it's not a roast.
Is your mic on?
There we go. All right. I will say that there is nothing more terrifying than wanting to change the world until you meet people you believe will help you to do that. Jen, you are a person that I believed wholeheartedly from the moment we met would help me to make my community a better place to live in, a better place to go in school, a better place to learn, a better place to teach. You have taught all of us to show up, to work harder, and to believe in one another wholeheartedly. It is hard to say goodbye, but it is no harder than asking for help, and that is what I have done over and over again since the first time we met. This would be hard to say if I had if I had only served with you for 98 days. But I have known you in some of the most incredibly difficult moments I have ever experienced. In fact, on the day after Donald Trump was elected, I held it together really well until I was in front of you, and your tremendous ability to make eye contact while presenting backfired on both of us as we ended up in tears. You have led with courage and trust and without hesitation in moments that are challenging and telling. And it is because I have worked with you and known you that it is hard to say goodbye. So instead, I will say thank you, and I love you, and I wish you nothing but success.
That's beautiful.
You going in order?
Who wants to go? You want to go? Nikki, go ahead.
Actually, I do have something prepared, and I don't have my mic on. Sorry, can I start off? I do have something prepared, and that was very simply, I want to thank you for creating a situation where we could have this many women and this many individuals of color to serve on this school board. It has never happened before to have 2 African Americans on this board. It has never happened before that we had an all-women school board. Even if it was only for 3 months, it still counted. And I'm counting it. It's my only magazine cover, and it may only ever be. So give me that. But very simply, we appreciate you creating the circumstances that were necessary to push the board forward in this situation. And we wish you the best of luck. And your kid, and Theo, is adorable. And please have him keep drawing for me.
I think that I met you on the same day, on the day after Trump was elected. So it's a bizarre coincidence. I mean, Jen, you have made a tremendous impact on Madison. You've had the bravery, I think, to lead a conversation here and to really change a conversation that we needed to have the leadership to do. And I think that you have brought our community and our community leaders and our city organizations and our nonprofits together around education in a way that will serve us incredibly well for years to come. And I'm really excited about some of the changes that have been made under your leadership. We have a new college campus going up in South Madison that was because you and Jack had a brainstorm somewhere, not even in Madison, I think, and had the wherewithal and the stamina to make it happen and make it a reality. That's gonna matter for kids for a really, really long time. And there's a lot of examples like that, right? We've got a referendum coming up that we haven't had the guts to do for a generation, and it's because you and your team were able to see that we needed it and we could do it. There was nothing holding us back from doing it, and we spent a year preparing. It's going to be a good year to follow through on it. And I know there's a lot more people than just you that have had a hand in all of those, but your leadership in terms of seeing the ability to define something new has been really momentous, I think, for Madison. So thank you.
Chris, you want to go next? So people have said lots of really great stuff, and I'm going to just stick to one thing that I really deeply appreciate about you, and that is the fact that over the years that I've been sitting in board meetings and watching, you have shared the microphone with people the board might not otherwise have heard from. You've invited parents, staff, students, and community leaders to come up here and you've given them the opportunity to share this stage and give their really unique perspectives on MMSD initiatives that this board may never have heard and may never have considered. The fact that you did that, I think, has changed the course of many things in MMSD, and I really deeply appreciate your giving voice to people who have been able to help the board make better decisions for our district. I wish you all the best as you head to Boston.
So I was thinking about what to write, and I realized that I was writing a story about me. Because I met you in 2013, the year that so many things changed in my life. I remember the community forum where you got introduced to the community. I remember the wave of people that surrounded you, and me trying to reach you and say, I'm running for office, I'll see you soon. And it didn't happen in that year. But because of Jane Belmore and you, you all made me part of the SHRAC to give me a voice. It wasn't until that time that I have never met a woman superintendent in my life. In fact, I had met very few leaders in education that were women. And I was pursuing my own educational career. So many of watching your leadership, watching you navigate this district when in 2013, which it seems so long ago, but it's just like a minute, we weren't able to talk about race. People did not believe the status of our schools. People did not believe what our children were experiencing, let alone give them a microphone, let alone vote for them, let alone let their stories be real. And it was through your patience and through your vision that we have achieved that. Slowly and persistence. You brought people closer to you in ways that I think most people feel really threatened by. You build capacity in this building in ways that had never happened before. You heard people, you invited them, and you met them. And even when you did not agree with them, you stayed in those spaces. I saw you pushing yourself, I saw you pushing me, I saw you pushing other people, and always showing up the next day. And deep inside, there was many moments that I thought you were gonna quit. Because I'd never seen any woman take so many beats like you have. But here we are. We were board for the first time with 100% women for the first time. And it was because of you. We have a board with a majority people of color now, and it was because of you. We have a board with a lot of people that either were deemed other, whether it's through their disabilities, whether it's through their color of their skin, whether it's because of their immigration status, whether it's because of their educational level and the things that they say. And here we are, sharing the table that you helped build. And I have never witnessed this close any bigger achievement. And I'm really proud to have served with you, even in this last than 100 days, and I was counting. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I am really sad that I only just get to meet you and Theo at this point right now, but have really admired your leadership from afar as you guided not only the school district, but kind of the city through really tough conversations about race and inequality in our city, and did it with resolve and a vision. We're really convicted in it and brought new people to the table. Excited for everything that you'll be doing in Boston, including some sports teams. But anyway, yeah, I'm really looking forward and learning and trying to follow your example in the district. So thank you.
Nika? You just push.
Oh, awesome. Hello. Thank you so much for everything you've done for the students over the past few years, especially prioritizing the student voice. I've learned so much from you over the past year, and I definitely look up to you as a role model. When I first got elected into this position, I talked to my sister, and she respects you so much when she was also in the same position. So thank you for everything you've done for the students and for myself and my sister over the past few years, and I wish you all the best in your new position.
Great. So I'll just close it up quick. So Jen, I remember when we first met, when you first started, I remember calling you. There was something happening in the city and in the community, and I wanted to give you a heads up. And, you know, even being so new, you were so calm. Like, I was frantic, right? I think it involved a student. You would just remain so calm, and I knew that we were going to be good. And ever since then, we've been involved in so many situations together, and we managed because of your leadership and have sought, seen us through it. You have prepared an awesome staff. I mean, that is amazing. A very diverse, knowledgeable staff. So you're leaving, but I am confident that you have prepared your staff and had really set the foundation for us moving forward. And, you know, our community hasn't been so good to you. Some people, and particularly when it came to race in our community, you have taken a lot of beatings for that, but you pushed through it despite it all, and we followed, and so everybody followed, and so you were really set the tone in our community, I strongly believe, through not only your voice, but through your actions in your everyday decisions within our school district, and leading the board. So thank you very much, and you will be missed, but you're leaving a legacy here, and you have set the foundation for us in this community to really tackle race relations and the challenges moving forward. So thank you. So I do have a resolution that I want to read. Whereas Dr. Jennifer Cheatham, Superintendent for the Madison Metropolitan School District, has wholeheartedly and selflessly served our district's students, families, and staff from 2013 to 2019. Whereas Dr. Cheatham has driven the development of the MMSD strategic framework, which established a vision where every school prepares every student to graduate college, career, and community ready. Whereas Dr. Cheatham has worked to advocate for and implement equitable practices, policies, and programs that better serve students, families, and staff of color. Whereas Dr. Cheatham's leadership has set a far-reaching precedent for surrounding districts striving to lead more equitably. Now therefore be it resolved that the Madison Metropolitan School District Board of Education recognizes and greatly values Dr. Jennifer Cheatham's contributions and dedication to MMSD schools. Her work and legacy will continue to have a lasting positive impact on our schools, our students, our families, and the community. Be it further resolved, this statement be permanently imprinted in the Board of Education minutes for the meeting of June 29, 2019. Again, we are deeply grateful for everything that Jen has done for our district and the amazing leadership that she has shown. Jen, we wish you and your family much happiness and success in your next chapter in your life. Thank you. We'll get you one with Sadie on it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, we want to take a picture?
We can take one. What? At some point, and I'd rather. This one will have Sadie. Yeah, and you're president, you have to be next to her. Okay, I'm borrowing you for this. Do not want to because I can just see myself. You swan dive. So you look kind of cool. Okay.
Your earrings are.
But of course.
All right, the next item on the agenda is
my superintendent's report.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Sure, she wanted to.
I don't have a superintendent's report tonight. Aren't you sad about that? That was maybe one of the most special moments of my life right then. I want to thank you for taking the time to say those words. That in superintendent life, you don't get to hear those kinds of words very often. So it's much appreciated. I really just wanted to take a couple minutes to say thank you in return. I was actually listing every board member I had worked with in preparation for this meeting. I don't know how I got onto that, but I did. And I realized that I had worked with 18 board members in my 6+ years. That's incredible. That's including you, Savion. 18 board members and 5 board presidents. James, of course. Arlene Silvera was a board president. Ed Hughes was a board president. Who am I missing? Mary, of course. Gloria. So 5 board presidents over all those years too. And so I've seen the work that you do up close. And I think that the role of a board member is often, well, people talk about it as a thankless job. I hear that over and over and over again. And I think it often is. So I want to make sure that you know how thankful I am for you. I think that many people don't understand the role of the school board member and the school board as a body. It's incredibly important work. I hope and pray that this board will remain stable in the years to come. So I'm just going to put that out there right now into the universe for everyone to hear. I think this is a phenomenal composition for the board. And I think this district needs for it to remain stable, right? And to learn what it looks like to work as a team, to learn how to use the capability of all the people who are sitting around this table and all the constituents that you serve. What does it look like to maximize this body in the years to come? I'm really excited about watching that happen. My ask of you is to stick with it. The school districts that have made the most progress have stability in leadership, and that includes their board leadership, right? I often think it's never about perfection. It's about maximizing the capability that you have, right, in your organization, in your community at any given moment. So I hope you'll do that. I know you will. I wanted to take a moment to thank Barb. Barb is a phenomenal human being, right? I mean, there are more, I don't know, it's incredible. She takes care of all of us, right? In addition to keeping us on track. This woman, can we give Barb a round of applause, everybody? I mean, yeah, love is the word I would describe for my feeling about Barb. Yeah, incredible. I would love to thank the senior team. Some of them are in the audience today, but I learned early on that one of the most important things the superintendent can do is to field a talented team. And for me, coming in, I was looking for a team that would have some deep historical knowledge and roots in the district and in Madison. I also wanted some variety of professional expertise, diversity and lived experience, and I think we assembled that kind of team. There has been a lot of stability on that team over the years, which is also phenomenal. So I say this thing about maximizing the capability because I think as a senior team, we've been working on figuring out what it looks like to maximize the capability of a truly diverse group of people. And it takes work, right? It takes work. I'm incredibly thankful to the senior team. We have several members who are outgoing, as you know, who came here to work with me. Nancy Hanks is leaving us, as you know, in a couple of days. Alex Fralin in a couple of days, and Ricardo Hara, who is in the audience. And I want to acknowledge them because it's been wonderful to have the entire senior team, but to have those members I just wish them the very best in their future, and I hope everyone knows how incredibly important they have been as members of the senior team these past years. And they took a risk on me and on Madison, and I think they gave a lot to our community. I'm certainly thankful for every single person on the senior team. And we have an amazing group of several members coming in to the senior team. Right? We've got Carletra Sanford starting as the elementary chief, Tremaine being promoted to the middle school chief, and Mike Hernandez is the high school chief. And I just have a lot of confidence that this team is going to be able to move the work forward. I'm really excited about what's possible with the board and that team in combination, right? I think it's wonderful. I also want to thank, as long as I have the mic, I'm glad, Chris, that you mentioned, and a couple of you mentioned, the kind of insight that we've been constantly trying to glean. So it's not just about having a great board and a great leadership team, but they depend on insight from people who are like living and experiencing our schools every day. And we've tried over the years to center the voices of the people who most experience the problems that we have. And we're trying to maximize their voices as we create a more robust and beautiful vision for what's possible in the future. And I just want to thank all the people who've helped me gain insight over the years. And there's a long list of those people, all the advisory groups that I've worked with, all the people who have taken their time when they didn't have to, when I went on my school visits to try to understand what was happening. MTI, who we've met with regularly and consistently all along, right? Like the people who've given us insight. It's incredibly important. I hope that their voices will continue to be centered by this board and the future senior team, and maybe even find ways to do more of that, right? Not less, but even more. I want to thank Reg and Theo, even though they were kind of waiting in the wings for public comment to be over, but Theo was getting hungry, I think, so he needed not more cake, but actual dinner. But I haven't spent nearly enough time with those two over the years, and that's going to make me emotional, but I thank them, for letting me be here and do this. Okay. For all of those who criticize me for my tears, I'm not going to worry about that, okay? Yes. Just want you to know. Doesn't bother me. Go ahead and criticize.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to thank Jane Belmore. She has really helped this transition go smoothly. We've been transitioning what feels like for a very long time now in some ways, and it's fast too, but she's done a really extraordinary job. She's made herself available. It's going really well because of her leadership. And then I think finally I just want to recognize the community that we serve. I think you guys have heard me say this before. Board members, even if you stay on the board for a long time, are temporary. Superintendents are temporary, right? We hold these positions for a short period of time. What we do with them when we're sitting in these seats matters. The community will remain long after we're gone, right? So I just want to thank the community for allowing me to do everything I could to move the community's agenda forward. I know we've talked about servant leadership before. For me, it is in large part being a servant to a community, helping them understand what's possible, creating a vision and a path forward, but always on their behalf. So thank you to the Madison community. It's been a pleasure, and I have every confidence in the future of MMSD. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is report on items that proceeded through the instruction work group. There was no meeting held in July, so there's no report. There is a date and possible agenda items for next work group meeting, August 5th, 2019. Next, report on items that proceeded through the operations work group held on July 15th, 2019.
Yeah, so it's maybe a little more tactical. So we had our opportunity to review the long-range facilities plan and kind of framework for the overall physical buildings and I guess kind of conceptual physical facilities framework for the long term. The second piece and the more concrete piece that we went through in the last operations work group was the plans for the referendum in this coming cycle, namely focused on the 4 comprehensive high schools as well as our alternative high schools and a potential Southside Elementary. We had the opportunity to actually see some images and like floor plans. I'm not an architect, so I don't know all the right words, but we actually had the opportunity to physically see some of the drawings as they're coming together, which was exciting. And that conversation will continue over the coming year. Our next meeting is the 16th of September, and I think we have cash flow borrowing. It's super exciting. On that agenda, as well as a discussion of the overall operations work group agenda for the coming year. So we are not having a meeting in August, no. So, yep. A meeting in August on operations. Yep. That's it.
All right. So then we don't have any action items that proceeded through an instruction work group, nor do we have any action items that went through operations work group. Now on to the consent agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Education adopt and approve all the motions set forth in Section 10 of the electronic agenda prepared for the July 29, 2019 regular school board meeting, exactly as said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his or her affirmative vote on each of the motions consolidated hereby, subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board.
Second.
Any separations?
I would like to separate 10.10 Achievement Network.
Any others? Okay. All right, we're going to separate 10.10. All other consent agendas? All in? Advisory vote? You're Anika?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, 10.10.
So first I have just a clarification question, and then I have a few comments. So I'll start with my clarification, and that is that this motion is for $175,000, and that's 1 year of funding for the coming school year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But the explanation of this item that we got mentioned a 3-year commitment on the part of schools to doing this work.
Yeah.
So is the cost of continuing to work with Achievement Network over those 3 years going to be pretty consistent over those 3 years, or go up, go down?
I think it is, but I want Lisa to confirm, since this is she's the lead on this. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I see Lisa nodding yes, but thanks, Lisa. I know. All right. So Lisa, can you explain that for the board or for Chris?
Good question. We expect that cost to remain very consistent because it's the same 7 schools that are agreeing to enter into this working relationship with ANET over the next 3 years. So the cost would remain the same.
So then really if we were to do this as we're planning, we're looking at a little over $500,000 over 3 years to invest in these 7 schools, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So then my comments. First of all, I'm really excited and I fully support the district's move towards using more formative assessment. I think this is a step we have to take. For way too many years, we have distrusted our teachers and relied very heavily on standardized assessment as a result of that distrust. And the fact that we're moving back towards a place of trust with our staff and working on training and rebuilding that capacity to use formative assessment to gauge student progress means the world. I'm so glad we're moving in that direction. We've spent close to 20 years downplaying formative assessment, and I fully appreciate the need to have to rebuild that capacity because I know our education schools haven't been training teachers very well in this. At the same time, I don't support this contract with the Achievement Network as a way to rebuild that capacity. Instead, I think we need to build our capacity internally to do this work. We now have 5 chiefs and deputy chiefs in the central office who are doing the work that once upon a time was done by 2 assistant superintendents. And one of the reasons that we've added this many positions is we're hopeful that they'll be able to better support our schools directly, especially in looking at data and looking at achievement and making decisions about where to go. In addition, we've got instructional coaches in this district who can work with our staff to help them learn how to create and use standards-aligned formative assessment. I reached out to some folks in the district who have experience with Achievement Network, and I didn't hear universally rave reviews, the kind of universal rave reviews I would want to hear to invest a little over $500,000 in this consultant. And specifically, I heard that Achievement Network did not add expertise that we don't already have internally and that we can't already build internally within our instructional coaches and our Doyle staff. And I also heard that a major flaw of Achievement Network is a lack of clear vision as to providing staff with the professional learning and support to do our own work of better designing and implementing formative assessments. Furthermore, there was the 2016 Harvard research paper that found that the Achievement Network had either no impact or a negative impact on reading achievement in 5 school districts and no overall impact on student achievement in math or reading. For those reasons, I do not feel we should support this contract, but I do feel we should move ahead working on trying to build our capacity for formative assessment. And I would propose taking this money and instead of giving it to Achievement Network, use it to invest in staff release time so that staff can work one-on-one with our instructional coaches to learn how to do this so that we're building our own capacity in a way that's more sustainable than contracting it out to someone else.
Kate?
Lisa, can I just ask you to talk a little bit about Achievement Network and how we're working with them, what's the history, where are we going? Just give us some color to the work.
Sure, absolutely. So we worked with Achievement.
We need to speak a little louder.
Yeah. So Achievement Network worked with us as a teaching and learning team this year at a systems level, and they were critical in their support of us to refresh our comprehensive assessment system. And they actually went through with us and identified multiple areas where there were repetitions in our assessment system, and we actually pulled 3 assessments off of our assessment plan in order to give more teaching time back to the teachers. We saw that there were some overlaps, they were unnecessary. We took immediate steps and are supporting the teachers and giving them some time back. One of the advantages of ANET's partnership with us is they actually have a proprietary set of resources. Formative assessments, sentence stems, standards aligned, rigorous formatives that take a long time to develop, and they have a bank of resources, K through 8 actually, that teachers can use, they can try, they can tweak. There are lots of lesson enhancements in their resources that teachers can also use. And these 7 schools actually identified in their school improvement plans a readiness and a willingness to work with the Achievement Network in support of their teacher teams and their leadership teams. Chris, I'm glad that you referenced the research report around ANET because we talked to them about that. And we also expressed, talk to us about this, what did you learn? And they learned something really important. They learned when they did that work multiple years ago that the results actually were not there when it was a top-down approach from central office, when schools were made to partner with them. But if you dig down deeper into the research, it actually says the schools that were ready and they were willing and they had the capacity and it was within their school improvement planning approach, that then those results actually were markedly different and positive. So that's why central office wanted to get out of the way on this. It is funded through KID. It is intended only to be a short period of time to build up that capacity around formative assessment, and then for us to spread that learning for the other schools and also inform and strengthen our comprehensive assessment system. They're also, I should add, they'll also be working with us on the K-5 materials adoption. They have tools and resources and research around best practices related to a process for adopting high quality standards aligned materials that are also historically accurate, inclusive, and culturally responsive. So multiple ways of working with them. I will just say not every teacher is a curriculum writer, right? We need teachers in classrooms teaching children, analyzing data, making adjustments in instruction moving forward, and building those relationships. And to expect teachers to create all those formatives on their own is a really, really heavy lift. So we wanted to take this opportunity to partner with some folks that actually have high quality resources and learn from them moving forward.
And are we signed up for 3 years or just 1 year?
No, it is, every year this will come to you in consent. It is a 3-year bucket of work that these schools are committing to, but each year we will have a chance to reevaluate and go back and come back and ask and talk again about the progress. We would want to have those schools and those leaders and those teachers share a little bit about what they're learning and what they're doing before we recommit it to the next year.
I originally, when I saw this I had my briefing, I was originally actually quite positive on it. I did research, my own independent, but I came to multiple conclusions. I also talked to teachers. I'd also looked to the community. And here are my issues with it. I'm a grow your own person. I like that we're sharing that information. The reason I would vote no on this and why I'm voting no on this is very simply. I think that one, when we have to approve it every year, it's going to cause consistency issues. 2, almost $500,000 for 7 schools is a lot of money when we have 50 of them. And the biggest thing, and I trust our teachers. I think our teachers know the most of what works in their classroom. And as much as I need assessments and people to support, I think they are the ones who know the best on it. And I understand and I respect their views, but those are the reasons why I cannot support it.
Thank you, Nikki. Any other discussion? Questions? Okay, thank you. Did somebody have? Anika?
Just the advisory vote.
Oh, yeah, I got to read the motion. Okay, thank you. Remind me in a minute. Remind me in a second. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount of $175,000 to the Achievement Network to support school-based leadership and teacher team development and assessment design work for the 2019-2020 school year for the 2019-2020 teaching and learning development operating budget via TID 25. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, Anika, your advisory vote? Abstain? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay. 5-2. Chris and I.
Okay,
Thanks, Lisa.
it passes, thank you. So next on the agenda, so other items, business proposed to considered under section 10 consent agenda. Okay, no. Any individual items identified under section 10 consent agenda that were separated from the motion, we already did that. Okay, other reports to the board.
City of Madison Education Committee unfortunately did not have a quorum again. Therefore, due to lack of quorum, I swear to God, I'm not the one causing it, we were unable to meet. We are trying for September. Fingers crossed.
Great, thank you. Student Senate? Oh, that's right, okay. Madison School and Community Recreation Advisory Committee?
I just got assigned and just realized I was assigned to it, so therefore that's on me, and I apologize. I do not have a report.
No problem. All right. Yes, yeah. All right, other business, at-risk plan. I move that the Board of Education renew the at-risk plan as currently written so that implementation can continue according to the timeline and so that the MMSD remains in compliance with statutory requirements associated with learners at risk of not graduating as set forth in the documents prepared for the July 29, 2019 regular board meeting.
Second, but I'd like a comment.
Sure. Second, discussion?
Yes, please. Here's the thing. I know we need an at-risk plan. I know that it is statutorily required, which is why I'm voting yes. Here's my problem with our at-risk plan. The statistics are rather confusing, to say the least, and the metrics aren't always the easiest to follow. I would like an update on that in the future when it comes back to us again, so that it could be easier tracked in the future.
Sure. Thank you. I think we do have this on the agenda, future agenda item.
Well, when you have your August organizational meeting, that will be a discussion that you can have, and you certainly can place it on the agenda, but we would be giving you the data associated with at-risk statistics in the fall. So, yeah, that's something certainly that the board could do.
Chris?
I also agree that this is an important discussion for the board to have. I know last year, before we passed the at-risk plan, it was on a work group agenda, which gave the public a chance to come in and talk to us and give us a chance to discuss it before we passed it. I fully plan to vote for this because we're legally required to have it. But in the future, I would like to see this on a work group agenda before we vote on it. And I appreciated the comments we received that in addition to the data that's in the report, it would be great to get some face-to-face feedback from students who are have been labeled as at risk, just to hear how we're doing from their perspective and how we could do better.
Yeah, definitely. Great point. Ananda?
I'm looking forward to not calling our students at risk, number one. Number two, my full-time job, as you all know, is to make sure that we have this is in compliance. And I really, what I would like to say is that I really hope that we don't get caught up on what is compliance, because compliance is the minimum that we can do for our students and for our families.
That's right.
So although I appreciate the comments and I definitely appreciate the fact that we are in compliance, I'm not suggesting otherwise. I would like the conversation that is going to be moved forward to be actually broader and to how are we supporting our families, in particular our students that are struggling. I also wanted to say that we have heard many testimonies. So again, it's been 100 days. Not that I'm counting, but I'm hearing every comment with folks that are actually being impacted by things like an at-risk situation, and to understand the root causes of those situations. So yes, I will vote in support of the plan.
Great. Any other discussion? Anika, your advisory vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Next item is, I move that the Board of Education approve the Common Core state standards as formally adopted for Wisconsin by the Department of Public Instruction in mathematics, English language arts and literacy, history, science, and technical subjects, in addition to the next generation science standards for all schools in the district. Arts education is aligning visual arts, music, theater, and dance instruction with the national core standards in coordination with the newly released updates of Wisconsin academic standards in these arts areas. Physical education is aligning instruction with national physical education standards with Shape America. Health education is aligning with the national health education standards. Social studies is aligning with the recently adopted Wisconsin standards for social studies and the Common Core state standards. Literacy in history, social studies, and focusing on curriculum that is inquiry-based, historically accurate, and culturally relevant. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Anika, your advisory vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item is renaming of La Follette High School Athletic Facility. I move that the Board of Education approve the Common Core state standards. Wait, did I just?
You
no,
did that.
Sorry, I
It's
already did that.
We're on the La Follette High School
Yes,
Athletic.
sorry. I move that the Board of Education approve the La Follette High School Community's renaming proposal and direct the MMSD Legal Services Department to enter into negotiations and a written agreement with the donors and supporters to name the gymnasium to the Pete Olson Athletic Center.
Second.
Discussion? Nikki?
I've known Pete for a long time. I've followed La Follette Athletics for a long time. He did quite a bit for it. He also did quite a bit for Title VII and women's athletics at a time when very few people were working on that topic. And therefore, based on those reasons, I would highly recommend that we do this.
Great. Anika, your advisory vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item is East Floor naming rights. I move that the Board of Education approve the East High School Community's naming proposal and direct the MMSD Legal Services Department to enter negotiations and a written agreement with the donors and supporters to name the East High School Fieldhouse floor the Pat Richter floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I will discuss.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Sorry, speaking a lot of athletics. This is a real shock. Very, very simply, Pat Richter has given quite a bit to the community. He gave quite sizable donation to East High School. He gives quite a bit of his time to East High School. He was a professional athlete and as well as a high school standout athlete at East, a standout athlete at UW. Therefore, I would highly suggest that we go with the East community and name it the floor after.
Great. Any other discussion? Anika, your advisory vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item is a dissolution of Student Behavior Ad Hoc Committee. I move that the Board of Education dissolve the Student Behavior Ad Hoc Committee effective July 29, 2019. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
So even though I wasn't on the board yet, I went to a lot of the committee meetings, and I really want to thank the folks who made that happen. It was a lot of time, it was a lot of work, and I think it was positive. I think the process of rewriting the BEP would not have been as good without your work, so thank you so much. Even though we're dissolving this committee, our work is not done, and this board needs to continue to talk about these issues. There are children and family and staff across the district who still struggle with the behavior education plan, and I think we need to continue to consider those struggles as a board.
Kate?
I would just add my thanks as well. I mean, Gloria, you and I were on that committee the past year or 18 months, and I think it was the strongest team I've seen pulled together on a very complex topic with a lot of passion, a lot of insight, and a lot of, I think, both willingness and ability to move the needle forward. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the next update. And a very big thanks to a lot of people that spent a lot of Monday nights with us that I'm sure weren't all getting paid to be there. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think that we struggled in really wanting to see the implementation of the work, but in communication with staff and other board members was that the agreement was that we would continue to get updates of the progress and really get a sense of how our staff and our principals and our teachers, what the issues are and the challenges from the changes, and really hearing from them. I think that was what was so great from our ad hoc committee was hearing from the principals and some of the staff, really grassroots on what they were seeing and experiencing. So we will continue to get updates from them on this work. So any other discussions? Okay. Anika, your advisory vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item is the Nuestro Mundo Community School contract amendment. I move the Board of Education approve an amendment to the Nuestro Mundo Charter School charter contract as set forth in the materials provided for the regular meeting dated July 29, 2019.
Second.
Any discussion? Anika, your advisory vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. We don't have any new business. Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was Savian. Yep. Anika, your advisory vote? Yeah.
He was just doing the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Yeah.